Hi everyone, In the Park went around to see how many people knew what an HBCU was. Out of 310 people polled at Lincoln Park, 73.2% didn't know. Only 83 out of 310 people knew, and that's too low. So here we go. An HBCU is a historically black college or university established before the Civil Rights Act 1964. They were established for African Americans to attend a higher education. Prior to the time of their establishment, for many years afterwards, black students were genuinely denied admissions to institutions. As a result, HBCUs became the principal meaning of providing post-secondary educations for black Americans. I'm sitting down with Brian Brown, professor of biology at Stanford University and alumnus of Hampton University. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Brown.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience at Hampton University?
So I'm from California originally, and so I went to Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia to pursue a degree in biological sciences. Initially, I thought I would explore being a physician, and I had the opportunity to work both for the Army Corps of Engineers doing research on bioaccumulation of toxicity and working in hospitals, and decided that I wanted to move on to doing things well beyond traditional biological careers. But I loved my experience at Hampton. It was excellent.
That's amazing. Why do you think it's important for African American students to attend HBCUs?
So I want to argue that, when everything has culture. And so if you show up for dinner and the dinner that is being served is a dinner you've never had before, there's a message there. And the message is that I'm in a new culture. And that's not a problem. But for many African American students, you exist constantly in a culture that doesn't reflect your own. And so coming to an traditionally African American college or university, there's a paradigm shift, right? So here's one of those things. If I'm in a chemistry class and I don't know the content, the only thing that matters is that I learned it. It's not an issue of whether or not people expect me to know, because they do. It is not a matter of if people are supportive of me or not, because they are. And so it completely changes the way that you think about it. And I like to think of it this way. If you ever try to parallel park a car and your music is really loud, you can parallel park the car. It's just more difficult, right? And so you turn the music down so you can focus. And for me, Black College did that for me. It enabled me just to focus on the academics. I didn't have to worry about anything else.
If you attended a predominantly white institution, would you have been prepared the same way Hampton prepared you?
I mean, I don't know, but I did attend a historically white institution. I went to, got my master's degree from the University of California in Santa Barbara, and a PhD as well. And in both those institutions, I was the only African American in most of my classes. There's only 3 in my program. And so I had that experience to compare. And I think the difference is I was asked to symbolically represent every Black person in the world. And I don't need to do that. I'm one person who represents one family from one community. And so I think the burden of having to do that was extremely different. Going back to the historically Black college, I think the messaging you get is different. So you're constantly embedded in a message where they're saying people like you are excellent, people like you will be prepared, that there's inherent inequality in the world, but we're going to prepare you to manage it. And so that was really healthy for me where I was at that particular age.
So what was the culture like at Hampton University?
It's a great question. I think one of the things that was unique for me is they really centered fun. I had a great time. And so my university, we had a party every Friday called 12 to 2, where we got together and hung out for a 2-hour period. It was a real rich balance of academic success and having fun. And I think that part made it unique.
What advice would you give for high school students, preferably seniors, about to take that step into the next chapter in their lives? What would you give them advice on, whether if they should choosing their college?
So, I mean, for every student, the question is, does the college fit who you are? So, I'm at Stanford University, which is an elite university, but honestly, it's not for everybody. You have to have a particular lens. So I would argue that for historically Black colleges, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, because in no other context will you get a chance to immerse yourself in your own culture. And so I think for that reason, I really encourage people to attend HBCUs if you get that opportunity. But ultimately, it's about fit. You want to find a place where you feel loved, where you feel encouraged and you can grow. And that's ultimately the thing you use to make a good decision about college.
Thank you so much for talking with us today. And those were all of our questions.
Thank you for having me.